Hello there and welcome. My name is Jimmy Wikman, and on this channel I talk about Atlassian and ways of working. That is my two passions in life, and today I would like to talk to you a little bit more about my book. You might have seen before that I am attempting now to write a book about Atlassian administration, which has turned into quite a extensive source. I think I've written a little bit more than I first anticipated, and I figure that after a couple of months you haven't heard anything about it, and I would like to share a little bit of where I am and why I haven't written anything more than I have so far. So I created a video a while ago, February I think, and after that one, I got a new job, which was a fairly strange position, I would say, because I'm employed by a Swedish company, but my line manager is in Poland, because the mother company is in Poland. So integrating and understanding how this works, because I'm now working as an Atlassian partner on the partner side, which is new for me. Been a consultant for many years, and I've been also a platform owner, so I have been the customer, but I've never been the partner before. So a lot of new things, and when you're working with a Polish company, there are some differences in culture and also how we work. So integrating with that one has been a little bit more challenging than I thought, but fun. So don't get me wrong, there's no conflict there. It's a good job, and it is a good people that I'm working with. And then I also suffered a loss. My father passed away, so that one threw me kind of in a dark place. Not that I was depressed or anything, but the stress was quite severe. And because as my father passed away, my mother also went into the hospital, and she got very sick. She got the flu and blood poisoning at the same time. And there was some touch and go moments there. And at the same time, I also had to plan my father's funeral, which is no easy task, especially when you're trying to do 13-hour work days with commute, and everyone I needed to contact was basically closed. I had to try to find ways to do it during my lunch breaks and stuff like that. I was a little bit stressed for that reason, and I can tell you that being in a funeral when you're the one who's planned everything is very different from going there when you are just a relative or just someone that is there for some other families. So that was a new experience for me as well. But those things combined have made it a little bit hard for me to actually commit to writing. I haven't really felt like writing anything. I haven't felt like doing any videos like this in a while either. But now that the funeral have passed, I'm getting a little bit more integrated with my company, starting to get a little bit warm in the clothes, starting to work a little bit with more clients, and life is basically getting a little bit easier. I am writing again, and I'm committed to finishing this book as quickly as possible. And I would like to show you a little bit of the book, actually. So, and explain a little bit of where I'm going with it, what the direction will be. So this will be a sneak peek into the book itself, and also I will tell you a little bit of what my plans are going forward. So let me switch over and show you a little bit about my book. So this is where I am writing my book. So I decided to skip all the traditional tools that I've used in the past. I'm not going to use Word. I want to have basically the layout that I want to have right away, because that way I can feel the creation as I do it. So I've tried to write this book a couple of times before, and I've always failed because I did not feel attached to it. I had to jump between different things. I had the UI that I was working with wasn't familiar to me. Don't like Word, and so on. So what I ended up with was to getting Affinity Publisher, which is a tool that I really enjoy working in, and that I'm familiar with since I've been working with other tools like this in the past. And as you can see here on the side, I have a fair bit of content already written. So right now I'm at 127 pages or something like that. And I think I haven't really optimized, so it probably is around 130, 140 because they are bleeding out in a few places. So, and there are actually more things than here. So I scroll down a little bit here. You're probably going to see I have my introduction here. This is the content that I have. So one thing that I do is during the introduction, I'm trying to be both scaring you and also putting you at ease. So telling you that things are a lot worse than you probably think it is. It's a lot more complexity to being an Atlassian admin than you probably realize at the time. But also that you got this. It's more complex than you probably think, but if I can do it, so can you. So you don't have to worry so much. It will get to you when you need to. And I'm also talking a little bit about the roles here, because Atlassian admin is many things, and not all of them are the same. So I'm talking a little bit about the different types of roles that you probably will encounter. What is the difference between, for example, an Atlassian configurator that most admins actually are, where you're just sitting there as basically IT support and just doing whatever people tell you to, and being a platform owner, for example, having the ownership, the financial and the strategic ownership of the platform itself. There's a lot of differences between that one. I'm also talking about what is actually an architect, or what does it mean when someone says, I need to have an Atlassian developer. It's like, what do you mean? It's a no-code platform. So where do you get the development from? So you understand that they are asking you to work in either an integration capacity or through one of the apps. And things like that. And then I'm trying to also get a little bit deeper. It's like, how do you actually define your own role? How do you actually know, what am I supposed to do? What are the expectations or responsibilities? Because since the role itself, the title itself, is very fuzzy, I'm trying to give as much information as I can on how to actually figure that one out, and also what the purpose is of doing that one. Because you can actually end up in problems if you don't actually know what your authority is, for example, or what your responsibilities are. I'm also talking a little bit about how can you build trust. What is the step that you can do if you end up in having a little bit too low trust and authority. If people think of you as IT support, but you actually are hired for a higher level, how do I actually engage people and explain myself so they understand that I'm not IT support? I actually am. I have ownership of a platform, for example. And the strategic part I'm going to focus quite a bit on, because I think regardless of your position, you need to know different strategies. Like, how do you communicate with different people? How do you set up things like retention policies? How do we work with our stakeholders? How do we actually get them to engage with us? How do we avoid people that is maybe on a governance level, or individual groups that are within the organization that are trying to define their own way of working without connecting with you? Because if you try to build ways of working without being in connections with the tool owner that actually knows how to build things, that's kind of like defining a technical solution but not involving architects, either on the network side or the technical side, or as a developer. Yes, you can do it, but it usually does not turn out to be very good. So a lot of things like that. You have your security plans, like how do I secure the platform? What kind of policies do I need to enforce? Also, how do I communicate and how do I connect with cybersecurity, for example, that you probably have in your organization? API management is very important. You have legal compliance. How do I comply with GDPR, Schrems 2, and the other legal things that you will have coming your way? And how does Atlassian actually do that? So you get some help for that. And also governance plan is very important. Like, how do you roll out changes? You can't just switch it out and just say that for now we will rename Epic to feature, for example, and don't tell anyone. People will hang you for it. They will take you out in the parking lot and tar and feather you and roll you under a bus and force you to do burpees until you puke. That's not a good way to do it. So how do we actually do it? Well, I'm going to try to explain that. And also the differences that you have, like if you have small changes or if you have big changes, if you want to change integrations, if you want to have different setups for different reasons. How do I know which level, what kind of change management do I need to have? And also, how do I explain standard, for example, and how can I get people to actually understand how you govern your platform? Even if you are not allowed to, even if you don't have the mandate to it, it's important for you to know how to govern different things or how it should be done. So you can actually tell the people that are forcing changes or making changes above your head. So you can tell them that this is probably not the best idea to do this. May I please advise you on a better way to doing that? Or maybe even just suggest this is a good way to govern things. I'm going to have a lot of standard configurations, and I know that this is something that not a lot of people want to have. A lot of people want to have like ad hoc setups. Everyone should be able to do their own thing. And even Atlassian is advising us to have certain things that let every team do what they need to do to actually be more efficient. And the thing is, just reality doesn't work like that. So the teams, yes, they can do whatever they want, but they have different things that are required of them. So I'm talking about the different changes. And I'm also talking about different abstract layers of doing things. So you understand that if people tell you that this is a process that you want to change, or this is a workflow you want to change, you know the difference between the different abstraction levels when it comes to how we work. And also a little bit of defining areas of responsibility, which for me is very important because when you have a bunch of people that try to decide things on a global scale, so for example, if they want to change an issue type and that is used globally, and they are not actually the people that are using them or should be using them. So for example, an incident is not something that you should have testers decide, for example. They don't own incidents. They are creating them for developers so they can actually investigate and fixing the error. So it's their work task. The same thing with testing things. You should not have managers telling you how to define testing things because they are not your work items and so on. So areas of responsibility is a big part of how I work. And they are also my stakeholders. So it's easy to create these groups. So you have like the stakeholders and advisors that are from the different areas of responsibility. And then within a team, you will have multiple people of them. So I'm not trying to like segregate the different groups. It's more that if you are working in a test capacity, if you are an expert in test, you know best how to do tests. And if you are in a team and you're a developer that also do tests, then you should know also how to do tests. But we try to define global things together, so it's the same for everyone. And the reason for that one is obviously that if you don't have a common way of working, then you don't work together very well. It's difficult to have different boards and have different statuses and different names for things. So that is also something that you can align them with the area of responsibility groups. So you can say, what should we name them? And you no longer have to take the responsibility for the answers. The testers say that we want to call things bugs. We don't care about the terminology incident or defects. We want to just call everything bugs. That is their decision. And you might oppose it and say that I don't think that's a very good idea, but that is how you want to work. Let's talk to the developers who will actually receive them then and see if they agree with that one. And then you can set a standard together. I also have a lot of information here on, for example, how do you define things? Like how do you define access? What are the 4 levels of access that you have as standard in the Atlassian platform? And how should you work with them? How should you think about them? And this is from my perspective. So if you have other opinions, at least you can see how I'm thinking, and then you can form your own opinions after that or before that even. But there's a lot of things that I will go through here and discuss and present my point of view on it. And obviously, not all of you will think the way I think, but hopefully you will get some value out of seeing my perspective, and maybe some of the things I think could change your mind on other areas. So that's why I'm presenting them. And the documentation. Documentation is something a lot of people also ignore, and they don't think that you need to document things. And also, some people like me can go a little bit too far. So we want to document too much. So how do you find that balance, and where do you document things, and how? We're going to talk a little bit about that in this book, and also what kind of setups can we do. So for example, if you want to keep track of all your integration to your Atlassian platform, maybe Compass is not the worst idea that you could have, because it's built exactly for that. And even if your organization don't want to have Compass for everyone, there are probably some people that want, and even if it's just you and the Atlassian team, you can easily have that one for 3 to 5 people without anyone raising an eyebrow. And it's an amazing way to keeping track of all your APIs, your integration, things like that. Or maybe you want to have, like I did, very, very thorough documentation of everything, and you want to be able to see an overview of all the changes that you have ever done. Assets is a great way of doing it, even if you will probably fight with someone about the cost eventually, especially if you're using assets for other things and you hit the 50,000 asset mark, then you will have a bunch of extra cost. But that is also a great way. How do we use Confluence for different types of documentation and things like that? Support and education is a tricky one because support is one thing where you have multiple levels. So you have the regular ticket support when someone is saying that something isn't working, or that they want help with fixing a filter or setting up a board or something like that. And the other one is where you have continuous improvement within your organization, where you actually work to raise the knowledge within your organization, to train the people, and building a training catalog, having workshops regularly with different people to go over their setup and seeing if you can improve it. Those are very different things, and they have different requirements and different ways of doing it. And also a little bit on when you are giving support. Now I don't have it here so you can see it yet, but how do you set up support, and what can you actually do, or how should you handle different situations? For example, if someone is threatening you, if you say no to a request, for example, or if people are abusive in other ways, how do you handle that one? And also, how do you use the tool? Like, how can you use Loom, for example? How to actually do video responses going back, and things like that. So how can we be better as Atlassian Administrator to actually get the information out there and supporting our users the best we can? And this one ties a little bit into the communication strategy. Also, how do I inform people of the insane amount of changes that is happening in the Atlassian platform? That is also something that I will try to do. And we have some dark secrets. These are things that you probably will never hear anyone say unless you are in a safe room somewhere. So, for example, that Atlassian are not the expert you might think. They are people too, and not all of them are experts in what they are doing. So there are many areas where you will probably find that people are referring to Atlassian and saying, but look, they put out an article and this is how they say that we should do it. And you go like, yeah, but that's not how you should do it according to me. And then you have to be able to explain it. So a little bit on those situations. And also a little bit on immature organizations. Most organizations are fairly immature. Some of them are better or more experienced and more mature than others. But how do you handle that one so you don't start running and trying to build your magic castle, the perfect solution, and most people don't even know how to log in, or they don't understand why things are suddenly called work items. They don't understand what is the difference between Jira and Confluence. And maybe you shouldn't push so hard on explaining how change management works. Maybe they need to get the basics first. And then you have a little bit on ego, and that is a tricky one, and not knowing things. And I think this one is especially difficult for old-timers, people that have been with the platform for 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. we are now getting all our knowledge is now kind of wobbly because everything is changing so fast. So what I did 3 years ago doesn't exist anymore. And how do we handle that kind of pace? Because it's kind of difficult, and it feels a little bit weird to your ego and go like, I'm an expert, I've done this for 15 years, but I can't find the friggin' toggle now for a function that I have been doing 10,000 times before because the UI have changed, or I have now replaced this with another function and I forgot to actually look at it, or I missed that release note. So a little bit about that. So besides all of this, or the goal with these things that I have here is to share my knowledge to the best of my ability, and I'm open for any questions or any topics that you would like me to talk about, any experiences that I might have, or challenges that you have found, and things that you might want me to include in this book. But in general, these are the table of contents that I have, and you can see that I still have some placeholders. I'm talking a little bit about structural roles, lot of things about this is the format, so you get a little bit of understanding on how I'm writing this book. So I'm guessing you will. These are a little bit of the plan and the governance. Yeah, sneak peek, so you can see a little bit of how you do things, how do you work with standard configurations. Here we have some blocks here where I haven't actually written anything yet. But that's a little bit of what you can expect from my book when I finished writing it. And right now the plan is to get back to writing again, first and foremost. And then I'm hoping that after the summer, probably end of July, beginning of August somewhere, or maybe end of August, I will try to make a copy of whatever I have at the moment, and I will share it with some local Atlassian profiles, get their feedback, and then I will have a second round at the end of probably October, November somewhere, where I will have more globally, so more people that are not just here locally in Stockholm. And the goal is then to have something finished for Teams 26. So that would be the goal. Now I don't know if I will be able to have it for the April event, so in the US, but for sure it will be done for the European event. So a little bit more than a year would be the end. I don't think it will take more than that. And at the moment I am at 127 pages, 27,000 words. I think I will probably end up somewhere around 400 to 600 pages, so a lot more to write. And then I will have a bunch of graphics that I will add into this book. And then there will be some formatting and some nice stuff, so it looks good. So now you know that I haven't stopped working on the book. I just have had a little bit of a rough time at the moment. I've been a little bit too stressed to actually be able to focus on it. But I'm getting back to it, and I have a plan to finish it, and you have a rough idea here then from the introduction here, where you can see the table of contents. You can see a little bit of what I'm planning to write about this one. So, give me some feedback if you have any. If you want to be involved in the test group that will actually get a copy of this one after the summer and in Q4 this year, then let me know as well. We have a group for it on my website. So I might as well show you my website as well. This is my website if you haven't accessed it yet or you haven't seen it yet. What I'm doing on this website is that I'm writing a lot of articles, of course. And I have videos, and in the community we have clubs, and here we actually have a private club that we don't have a lot of activity yet, because I haven't actually had time for it. But if you're interested, this is where you can go and you can request to join. And the people that are here will get then a copy of the book, and I will request then some feedback from it. So that was it for my book and what I have been doing for the past couple of months. And I hope you will find this book useful once it is ready, and hopefully you will get some nuggets out of it. So that was all for this video. So the only thing that remains for me to say now is then that I hope that you have a great day and an awesome week.